Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Fun fact, just because I went to go put them on, I don't know if I've said this, but I have a slight astigmatism, I think, in my left eye, or my right eye, I can't remember. But I have a slight astigmatism, and I've been told it's very slight. But I like to wear, I've never worn glasses until until I left for college. And then I was like, I felt like my eyesight was declining. And the main fact is I just like to wear glasses. Like when I was growing up and was a kid, I was honestly jealous of the people that were able to wear glasses. Like they couldn't see without the bitches. Oh, I envied those kids. I've always wanted glasses. I don't know why. And then when I was in college, after I got the glasses, I read an article about the psychology of other people perceiving somebody that's wearing glasses. And basically what they found is the bigger rimmed glasses or the larger, glasses that people wear, people perceive them to be more intelligent. So whenever I go to a job interview or anything, I always, anywhere where I'm trying to get something, I wear the glasses. They automatically think you know what you're fucking talking about. I could be a banker, like a legit like Wall Street banker, whatever they do, and just put some glasses on. I'd be like, oh, yeah. Why are we, why are we buying Facebook stock? Let's sell all the Facebook stock, crash the market for them. Everybody be like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. He's wearing glasses. And they was also saying that if you walk too slow, because there was a few different things like in the article that, what you wear or how you act or whatever you do, how people perceive that. And one of them was walking speeds, where if you walk too slow, people perceive you basically, as a ditzy fuck. They don't want to deal with that. You walk too fast, you're perceived as, self-important. That, oh, look at him, he's in, such a hurry. I'm sure he's a big shot, But if you walk just the right speed, not too slow, not too fast, but a good, decent walking speed where you know where you're going, but you're not self-important. You're not running there. It's not that important, right? If you're late, you're late. But you're not walking too slow, right? Because everybody's got some place to be but this guy. And you're right behind him. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants it. Something I've always kept in mind. I don't know. I read that article and I was like, that is very astute. I'm sure the writer, editor, whatever, was, probably wearing glasses. They probably walk a decent, recommendable speed. So I was working yesterday or last week or whenever this happened, I can't remember. And it was probably yesterday. Like this week, honestly, today feels like Friday. Not that it feels like the weekend, but it just feels like Friday because it feels like I've packed so much into my last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, where like a shit ton of work I've done so far. I feel very productive. But I was working on an account, and it wasn't the same name or anything, but it was along the same lines that it reminded me of my last job. So a customer we have has a similar first name as a lady I used to work with at my last job. And my last job, there is a woman that worked for I was working as a third party contractor, but there was a person that they hired at that company and directly with them, and they went and interviewed. It was in person. It was well before 2020, well before the pandemic, and they went in person. And they brought documents, right? They probably sent documents. They know this woman's name. God bless her. I'm sure somebody loves her, but it's not her parents. So this is her legal, I swear to fucking God, this is her legal name. I had to double check because I was like, she's playing. Can't be her government name. It wasn't in the insurance field, auto insurance. So there was, anything that you sign, it has to be legal. So signed documents, and she is in a position where she signed quite a bit. And she came in contact with quite a lot of people, internal and external. And who is this? This is her real name. And I had to tell everybody. I was emailing this bitch's information everywhere. I was like, you have to take a look at this. I wonder how easy it is to find her. And, if somebody wants to look it up, because I don't care too much about it. But if you go to Facebook, it might be easier. Probably not. But Google, you're just going to be watching porn. So her name, real name, is or was at the time. First name is Tijuana, just like the city of Mexico. Last name is Hooker. Her name is Tijuana Hooker. 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 This bitch's name was Tijuana Hooker. And like I said, she had to have gone in person and sent documents, and they've read her name, typed her name, probably fucking wrote her name. And, I don't, outside of ageism, I don't believe in discrimination. But again, she is a very customer-focused position where she is just emailing, talking, calling. People are sending her documents. She has to sign shit with this name. What? In whose right mind of her parents? Like, what? I could not imagine. Like, what? Like, I cannot fathom that was her last name was Hooker. Right? And that could be, probably growing up, people are, oh, you're a hooker, ha ha ha, your parents are hookers. But that's fine. But once you grow up, your last name's Hooker, whatever. It could be a joke when you're drunk or whatever. But, whatever. Cindy Hooker. Who's handling that account? Catherine Hooker. Oh, cool. I'll reach out to Miss Hooker. Whose account is it? Hooker? What's her first name? Just so there might be more than one in the company. Well, she is the only one. Tijuana Hooker. In what world is that acceptable? Like, I cannot imagine being the hospital person that writes that down on that birth certificate. You want me to write what? First name's Tijuana. Can you spell that? T-I-A Juana. J-U-A-N-A. I just want to double check myself on that. I don't spell Tijuana as much as Tijuana herself does. Tijuana. Juana. I spelled it correctly. Tijuana. It is a border city in Mexico, just south of California. It's bustling Main Street. Avenida Revolucion, I don't know, is lined with souvenir shops and lively bars. Landmarks include the neoclassical Jayalai Fronton Palace in Central. Yeah, Tijuana. a modern cultural complex, like the Zona de Rio district. Throughout town, stadiums stage lucha libre, okay, matches, while the nearby city of Rosario fronts sandy beaches. Okay, yeah, it sounds like a bustling town. Just south of Chula Vista, California. Huh. And then her last name is Hooker. I would be pissed off. Like, she went to kindergarten, right? And Miss Sanders said, hey, little bitch, what is your name? Not that she was a bitch. Little girl, what is your name? We gotta learn to write this down. Okay, Miss Sanders. First name is Tijuana, just like the city in Mexico. Tiajuana. And Miss Sanders is like, okay, that's a different name, But at one time, Miss Sanders also thought summer, violet, spring, summer, winter, fall, right? She used to think that those were odd names. And then she had a Tijuana. And then she's like, okay, Tijuana, do you want to go like something short like T? TJ? Or Tiwa? I don't know. No, Miss Sanders, I want to go by Tijuana. Okay, Tijuana. What's your last name? And she says it. Hooker. And Miss Sanders says, oh, no. Where did you learn that word? What is your last name? And then she keeps saying Hooker. Miss Sanders, it's Hooker. 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 Just like she was in spelling bee. She sounded it out, spelled it out. Miss Sanders is like, can you use that in a sentence, Tijuana? And Tiwi says, I think it's a good one for Tiwi. Tiwi says, I can use that in a sentence, Miss Sanders, yes. Very formal for a kindergartner. And she said, your mama was a crack whore and a hooker. Down in Colorado Springs. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but I feel like it would be a better story than probably what happened. But I just cannot. Honestly, and I tell that it baffles me now just as much as it did when I saw her name, because it was like, is that a misspelling? Right? Does her boss hate her? Bitch's real name. That's crazy. That is crazy. And I had another lady that they hired. I don't know if she was married before or after they hired her. But her last name, she got married and she hyphenated their names. A lot of people do that. Some people want to take the name, the husband's name or whatever. Some people don't. They don't want to change the name at all. And some people hyphenate. This lady hyphenated. She hyphenated it, and she shouldn't have. There was one correct choice that she should have gone with and could have gone with. But she said, no, I'm going to hyphenate our last names because hers was not good enough to begin with. So she wanted to add on to it with her husband. So I don't know her first name, and it wasn't pertinent because I don't remember it. But the last name, her maiden name was P-E-E. I'm gonna go take a P over here, spelled the same way. Her husband's last name, Flood. F-L-U-D-D. Flood. She should have gone with Flood. Wouldn't have been as bad if she would have stayed with Pete, right? But she said, I want to let everybody know. The hyphen, it's just P Flood. Like, how, what's your name? Oh, Mrs. P Flood. Excuse me? How, the amount of conversations that probably go on around that name, whether you're included in it as the person with the name or not, it's baffling. It is baffling. I cannot imagine. I know that company, they hired a lot of people, right? They have a lot of people that work for them. It's a very well-known company. But again, I do not support discrimination outside of ageism. I think we need to get rid of all old people, not kill them off. Like, we're not going to murder them off. Would be against it, but we're not. That's not the decision that we're going to make. What we are going to do, water break. What we are going to do is just, we need to get the elderly. And the elderly, I think there's a big distinction between old and elderly. Old and elderly. Old is, like, they walk a little bit slower, slight cognitive decline. Maybe they nap a lot, right? But they can still function, right? They're still, kicking 90 down the highway. We're good with those. We're good with those. Elderly people are the ones where you're in a Walmart parking lot. You just want to shop for your groceries. And you're walking into the store. And then, these front row spots always go to the disabled. So there's inevitably at least one giant ass town car or giant ass SUV that is crooked as fuck in that spot. Like, they make these spots huge. I mean, these are gigantic spots. I drive a Toyota Corolla. I could probably fit 10 of them in these spots. They're ginormous. But they can't park, right? They just can't do it, right? Because they probably can't see. They certainly can't hear. Okay? And then you're walking in the store, and sometimes they try and walk. These elderly people that can't walk, right? They have 2 fake knees, probably a fake leg, fucking hobbling in there. And I'm like, hey, you paid $1 million and you're half bionic, but you still can't walk. It does not make sense. And I feel like somebody's getting ripped off over here, and it ain't the doctors. So they're hobbling around, and more, they're looking for spaghetti, like little spaghetti noodles. Grandpa, we are in the produce section, right? I mean, over there. It's just, they don't know what's going on. And they're like, how'd I get here? You fucking drove, unfortunately, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. They can't hear anything. All right, they're getting bamboozled out with these phone calls. They're the reason that we get all these fake emails and all these stupid ass phone calls. Because these elderly people, they're answering the telephone, right? They're answering the phone. And, that fucking town car they bought 25 years ago that has 2,000 miles on it. The fucking extended warranty is gone. It's expired now. And now they got these people calling. Thank God you called. I wouldn't have known it was expired. And then they buy it. They fucking buy it. And then it ruins it for the rest of us. It ruins it for the rest of us because they cannot. Like, it just, you know, who gave Granddaddy a phone? I mean, he didn't know what the fuck's going on. Jesus Christ. Who's he going to call? Gee, you know, if he falls, he falls. He doesn't need a phone. You know, I mean, it's his time. You know, if you can't get up, you had 2 fucking knee replacements. I mean, come on. If you can't get up, it's probably best to leave you there. And I don't hate. So my boss recently, she recently started her position as my boss. A great boss. I like her. And she, whatever. We had our first one-on-one together recently, last Wednesday. And one of the things we were talking, we had an hour meeting and everything, and we were just talking and kind of getting to know each other a little more. And previous conversation we had, you know, she was letting me know what she had written down for like what my goals are and different things I eventually want to accomplish and do. And one of the things that she had written down from previous conversation we had is that I hate old people. And it's true. You know, and I just said old and elderly are different, but I think old and elderly are interchangeable. Because you can be, like I said, I mean, you can be 60 and the world would be a better place to be done off. Or you could be 100 and the world would be a worse place, like Betty White. World's worst place now that she's gone. Rest in peace. So, interchangeable. But they're the reason that we can't have nice things. My last job, I had this customer's daughter call. And Grandpappy was on the probably fucking sleeping or something. But she's calling in and she's like, you know, this is a scary part. She's like probably in her 30s, maybe 40s, probably not. But her grandpappy, her daddy, his old ass is over there. And she is with him during this entire ordeal. She is with him and saying, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Let's keep moving forward. So he gets a notification on his phone. So she calls in, actually. Let me start from where she called in. So she calls, the daughter called and said, you know what? I think they did auto insurance and banking at this particular institution. And she said, you know, I want to cancel my dad's credit card. I think he was scammed. And I'm like, okay, I'm a curious little bumblebee. Give me some more information and I can transfer you on over to our banking team. And so she's gladly telling me what exactly happened. So she said, this is what happened. Her daddy has an Android phone. Because what, you know, you could have got a Jitterbug, even an iPhone, but we went with an Android phone. So daddy has an Android phone, old as fuck. And he gets a text message that somebody tried to log into his Apple ID account. Grandpappy here, he does not have any Apple devices. This is what the daughter tells me when I'm on the phone. He does not own an Apple device. He's never owned an Apple device. I'm like, okay. Where's this going? I was like, is that what you're scared about? Just that you got a text message? No. So in the text message, it said, click on this link. And they're both there, Grandpappy and the daughter, doing this together. And daughter was like, yeah, let's click on it. What's the harm? So they click on the link. And the link says, put in your card information, your card details. So that way we can confirm that this is your account. Because, you know, large corporations such as Apple wouldn't have a username or a password. They just go straight to your credit card information. All of it. So security code, expiration, card number, right? So they put all of this in. And then they hit send or verify or whatever the fuck fake ass thing was. And then they got scared. Then she got scared and she said, you know, let's call into this company to cancel that card because I think that is probably fake. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what in the fuck? Like, what? And I'm like, you're just calling in now? Like, I would want to know what's after that. I mean, you've already been scammed. I mean, come on, just keep going. I want to know what's past that, if there's anything. So, oh my God. So again, I mean, she's in her 30s and 40s, but in that moment, out of context, without anything else in her life, I would consider her elderly. Yep, move her to the elderly camp. I think that's a good way to put it, elderly camp. Because people go to camp, summer camp. I'm sure there's a winter camp, boot camp, band camp. I mean, there's a lot of camps, prison camps, and they all sound fun. Elderly camps, right? Where the elderly gather and frolic around or whatever they do. Frolic. So I would consider her, without saying anything else in her life, she's going to the elderly camp. So, baffling. And then I talked to this one younger gentleman. We had all their information. So I had his date of birth, and I knew he was in his early 30s. And like I said, we were doing auto insurance, and he got in a crash, and his car was at a shop, and he was, I was trying to get the information for the shop. And I said, he gave me the name. And I was like, oh, do you have the address for that location your car's on? And he's like, oh, hold on, let me look that up. I'm like, cool. A normal person would put me on speakerphone, slide on up, go to Safari or whatever your preferable search engine is. I use Safari. I have an iPhone. And, search that way. As a young 30-something at the time would have done. Nope, this guy is elderly. He's going to the camp. So he's like, hold on. Let me go grab the yellow pages. And I made a face. As soon as he said yellow pages, I made a face. And I said, what the fuck? Not out loud. In my head, I was on a phone call. And then as soon as he said that, and I made that face, I went back to his home screen and I saw how old he was. And I was like, what the fuck? And I told everybody around me after I got off that. I was like, you fucking believe this? Like, what? Mind-numbing. Elderly. He's going to the camp. I just, and old people, they get bored. Some of them, they retire and they're like, oh, I need to make birdhouses or yell at the kids that are going down the street or something, whatever old fucks do. But they always want to do something. So you can get a bunch of them together. You can have different little clubs in the camp. You have the sewing club. They're sewing blankets. And you can go and sell them. Give them a couple pennies on the dollar or whatever. Not saying take advantage of the elderly. I would never say that. Because if this is shown in a court of law, it could be used as proof against me. But again, these are all jokes. So, that's life. Life is full of a bunch of jokes. So I'm not saying take advantage of the elderly. But, again, jokes. Old people, they're not going to be, the elderly especially, they can't live too long. There's a lot of elderly people, if they didn't have somebody to cook their meals and pick them up off the floor every time they fell out of the shower, I'm just saying. I am just saying. Our government is run by a bunch of old, white, fucking geriatrics. America. Just basically the world is run by a bunch of old fucks. Anyway. Just jokes. World will be a better place. So, that's what I'm saying, I think, in essence, of elderly. The elderly. Like, when you're driving down the road, right? You're driving down the highway, you're on a family road trip. You're just excited because you're tired of hearing the kids in the back, right? You're just excited to get to the hotel and go fuck your wife, and your kids can go hang out at the pool or whatever they do. Go fucking smoke crack by the dumpster. Whatever kids are into nowadays. And, where was I going with that? I don't know where I was going with that. But I was thinking the other day, so I made a comment, and I didn't think about it before I said it or anything. But I was excited because it was around August. It was kind of mid-August, around where we're at now, and I made a comment at work around some friends. I was like, "Oh man, I'm so excited! I saw a school bus today. I'm super excited to see the kids go back to school." I don't have kids at all, not human kinds. I have a kitty cat and a dog. So he's like, "Oh man, that could have been taken wrong." And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even think about that." But I love, like, my favorite time of the year is fall. I get very bad seasonal, I have like depression anyway, but I have very bad seasonal depression, especially like when it's pretty much all fall, right? Until that snow starts falling. It's the worst. But it's still my favorite time. I don't understand. But I love it. It's getting cooler outside. Kids are going back to school, because where I live now, it's very quiet. I've seen kids on the weekends. Thank God of broken homes. But you don't really hear them. And there's not a lot around here or anything. So it's good. It's definitely nice. But in the past where I've lived, just especially when you go to the store, there was one time it was like 10:30. I was on Meijer. And these fucking kids are playing, high school kids probably, but middle school maybe, I don't even know. Fucking playing, what are they playing? Marco Polo. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, God. It's past the bedtime. I think last episode we talked about my hatred of children. And people say hate's a strong word. I think it can be used strongly, and it can be used loosely. I've come across some kids that are tolerable. Yeah. I'm just not a fan. I am not a fan of the juvenility, if that's a word. Just not my cup of tea most of the time. I'm just not in the mood to deal with it. Especially if you go over to to somebody's house and they have kids, and it's just like, ugh. Like, none of my friends have like real kids. Dogs and cats and stuff like that. And I think the world would be a better place with more of them and less kids. But I'm just, I don't know. I hope it doesn't make me sound bitter. Like, I'm not like, oh, get those Rugrats away from me. I do a pretty good job at ignoring them. Like, they just do their thing and I ignore them and hopefully they don't bother me. We can coexist, but we're not going to be friends. So, speaking of tired, I am tired. And I don't know if it's because I smoked a little bit. Could be. But, I don't know. I have to go to the store tonight. I need to. But I don't feel like it, but I need to. So I'm going to go to the store. I already make a list up. So, it's easy to just know what I want, and then if I want extras, I can get whatever. But I'm tired. It's basically what I'm saying. There's a show I saw on Netflix. I forget what it's called now. I'll write it down for next week. But it's really good. It's a British show, Netflix original, and I'm not fond of like British shows and movies. Maybe I am now, and I just didn't realize it. But I really like this show, and I think the main character guy is The guy from Dexter, I think. He looks very familiar like that. So next week I'll let you guys know what it is, but it's a very good show. Very good show. I don't want to ruin that. So have a great week. I will see you guys or talk to you guys next Wednesday. Again, if you like what I sound like and you want to see what I look like, you can come over to the video version on YouTube. Well, or if you've seen what I look like and you're like, you know what, it's probably best just to listen to his voice. Just listen to the audio, you know, or you can do both at the same time. Anywho, have a great night, day, morning, weekend, afternoon. Talk to you guys next week.